Welcome to Love Lies Chronicles.
I'd love to know what you think. Every comment helps me make the next story better. Subscribe to stay tuned. I was finishing up a work report when she walked into the kitchen and said the words that would end our relationship. "I'm going to pretend you don't exist for a week," Whitney announced. "Maybe that'll teach you what it's like when someone doesn't prioritize you." I looked up from my laptop. "Go ahead." She blinked. "That's it. That's all you have to say? You've made your decision." I respect it. The confusion on her face was immediate. This wasn't the script she'd written in her head. She'd expected me to panic, to ask what I'd done wrong, to beg her not to do this. Instead, I went back to my report. The argument that led to this moment was absurdly minor. I'd mentioned I couldn't attend her coworker's birthday party on Saturday because I was helping my brother move. She'd gotten upset that I'd made plans without checking with her first. When I pointed out I'd mentioned it 2 weeks ago, she claimed I never prioritized her social life. I'd calmly noted that I'd attended 8 of her work events in the past 3 months. That's when she decided on the silent treatment. She stood there for another moment, waiting for me to crack. When I didn't, she turned and left the kitchen. I heard her in the living room, deliberately sighing and closing cabinet doors just a bit too firmly. All the usual sounds of someone who wants you to know they're upset without actually using words. I finished my report and went for my evening run. When I got back, she was in the bedroom we shared. I showered in the main bathroom without acknowledging her presence, made a protein shake, and grabbed a blanket from the closet. I slept on the couch that night, not as a statement or a punishment. I just didn't feel like negotiating her mood in a shared bed. The next morning, I woke up before my alarm and went to the gym. My usual routine. When I got back, she was in the kitchen, clearly having expected to find me there looking miserable. Instead, she found evidence I'd already been out. I'd made coffee, but hadn't left her any. She slammed a few cabinets while getting ready for work. I made breakfast for myself, ate it at the counter, and went to my home office with the door closed. That's when something clicked into place. She wanted to pretend I didn't exist. Fine. But the first rule of truly not existing is not noticing when someone sleeps on the couch instead of begging to share your bed. I opened my laptop and started researching. The lease was in my name only. Whitney had moved into my apartment 2 years ago. I checked the Boston rental market. 1-bedrooms in Beacon Hill were going for about what I was paying now. I could afford it solo. I wasn't angry. I was just done. By afternoon, I'd documented the pattern. This wasn't the first time she'd used emotional manipulation. Last month, 2 days of silence because I forgot her co-worker's name at a bar. 3 months ago, she'd threatened to skip my sister's wedding because I didn't respond to a text within an hour. 6 months ago, cryptic Instagram stories when I chose poker night over her book club. I'd spent 4 years managing her emotions instead of sharing my life with a partner. That evening, I saw her Instagram story. She was at Lincoln Tavern in South Boston with coworkers, multiple selfies showing how happy and unbothered she was. I didn't view it directly. Her friend Melissa told me about it when I ran into her at the movies. "Hey Connor, Whitney didn't mention you'd be here. We're not really communicating this week. She's doing her own thing." Melissa's face showed concern. "Oh, is everything okay?" "That's a question for Whitney. Enjoy your evening." I watched Melissa text someone immediately as she walked away. Whitney's confidence would be shaking by now. I wasn't hiding our situation or trying to fix it. I was accepting it. Saturday came. Day 3 of her silent treatment. I helped my brother move as planned. When I got back to the apartment at 6, Whitney was dressed up, clearly having waited for me. She wanted a confrontation. She wanted me to see her looking good and feel regret for choosing my brother over her party. I took a shower, changed clothes, and left again for my brother's housewarming dinner. At dinner, my brother asked if Whitney and I had broken up. "I don't know," I said. "Can you break up with someone who's pretending you don't exist? Or have they already broken up with you?" He studied me for a moment. "You seem pretty calm about all this." "I am calm. For the first time in months, actually. No wondering if I said the wrong thing. No analyzing her mood. No walking on eggshells. Just peace." "So what are you going to do?" "I'm going to take her seriously. She said she wants to pretend I don't exist. I'm going to give her exactly what she asked for." Sunday morning, day 4, I got a text from Melissa, Whitney's friend from the movies. "Hey, I don't want to get in the middle of anything, but Whitney's really upset. She's been crying to everyone about how you're ignoring her." I stared at the message for a moment before responding. She announced she'd pretend I don't exist for a week. I'm respecting her wishes. If she's upset about me not chasing her during her self-imposed silent treatment, that sounds like a her problem, not a me problem. Melissa's response came quickly. Oh, she didn't mention that part. She made it sound like you just suddenly started ignoring her. Interesting. Thanks for checking in. I screenshot the conversation, just in case I needed it later. Whitney was already rewriting the story to make herself the victim. That told me everything I needed to know about whether this relationship was worth saving. Monday morning, day 4. I woke up early, showered, made breakfast for one. Whitney came into the kitchen and found me on the couch watching the news with coffee and toast. She waited for me to offer her some. I didn't look up. I saw her almost break. She almost spoke when she realized the coffee pot was empty and I wasn't making more. She caught herself, made her own pot, but that moment revealed something. She was getting tired of the game faster than I was. That day, I made changes. I called the cable company and changed the Netflix password. I updated Spotify and removed her profile. I changed the Wi-Fi password. I modified the food delivery apps. I called the utility company about splitting the bills starting next month. I removed her from my parking spot app. I moved my toiletries to the guest bathroom. I took extra blankets and pillows from the closet. The couch was now my permanent spot, but I wanted the guest room ready. I moved my clothes from our shared closet to the guest room. Throughout the day, Whitney discovered the changes. Netflix didn't work during her lunch break. The Wi-Fi stopped connecting. She couldn't order dinner on the usual app. I knew she was texting her friends about it. I could see the frustration building every time we passed each other in the apartment. That evening, we lived completely parallel lives. She cooked dinner at 6. I cooked at 7:30. She watched TV in the bedroom. I watched in the living room. We passed each other like professional roommates who'd agreed to minimal interaction. I spent the evening browsing apartment listings. I found a perfect one-bedroom in Beacon Hill. Hardwood floors, high ceilings, available in 10 days. The security deposit and first month's rent were within my solo budget. I scheduled a viewing for Wednesday. The next morning was Tuesday, day 5. I found out later what Whitney's day was like. She'd woken up and noticed I hadn't tried to come to bed again. Not as a punishment to her, but as a genuine preference. She watched me leave for my morning gym session through the bedroom window. Same routine, same calm expression. She called Rachel. He's not breaking, she said. He's just living his life like I'm not even here. Isn't that what you wanted? Rachel asked. I wanted him to realize what he's missing, to fight for me, to show he cares. By pretending he doesn't exist, you don't understand. This is what works. In my last relationship, when I did this, he came crawling back within 2 days begging me to talk to him. There was a pause on the line. Whitney, maybe Connor's not like your ex. Maybe he's actually okay with space. Nobody's okay with this much space. But she was wrong. I was more than okay with it. Tuesday morning, Whitney watched me leave for the gym. Same routine, same calm expression. No signs of distress or longing looks at the bedroom door. I think that's when it hit her. I wasn't waiting out her silent treatment. I was adjusting to it. At the gym, I ran into Tom, a guy I'd seen there for years. We'd never been close, just the occasional nod and small talk. Hey man, haven't seen you here this early in a while, he said at the water fountain. Getting back to my old schedule. Had to adjust some things at home. Relationship stuff? I was surprised by his directness, but something about the moment made me honest. Yeah, you ever been with someone who tests you constantly? Like they need to create problems to see if you'll solve them? Tom laughed, but it wasn't a happy sound. My ex-wife. 7 years of that. Every few months, some new test. Some new way to prove I loved her. Exhausting. When did you know you were done? When I realized I was happier on the nights she went to her sister's place than on the nights she came home. If you're relieved when they're not around, that's your answer right there. I nodded slowly. Yeah, that's pretty clear. You already know what you need to do, man. The hard part's just doing it. He was right. Wednesday afternoon, I took a long lunch break to view the Beacon Hill apartment. It was perfect. Moving to the area? The landlord asked. Just need my own space. Fresh start. I get it. When do you want to move in? How's next Friday? Works for me. I'll email the lease. I signed it digitally that evening. First month's rent and deposit paid. Move-in date set for day 13. Friday of next week. After I signed, I called my brother. I did it. Signed a lease for a place in Beacon Hill. How do you feel? Relieved. Free. Like I should have done this months ago. You think she knows? She's starting to figure it out. She saw me measuring furniture today. Is she saying anything? Still doing the silent treatment? Tomorrow's day 7. The last day of her week. I think she'll try to end it tomorrow like nothing happened. And what are you going to do? Tell her the truth. That I'm done. That she can have all the silence she wants now because I won't be around to ignore. My brother was quiet for a moment. You know, I always liked Whitney, but I never liked how she treated you. There was always this undercurrent of her testing you, like you were on permanent probation. Permanent probation. That's exactly what it was. Well, not anymore. Proud of you, man. That conversation meant more to me than he probably realized. Whitney noticed things that evening. She saw me researching moving companies on my laptop. My credit card statement was on the counter, and she glimpsed the words, Boston Security Deposit. She watched me measure furniture with a tape measure. Her panic was starting to show. I wasn't hiding anything, not rubbing it in, just not concealing my plans. Thursday was day 7, the final day of her official silent treatment. Whitney woke up knowing she could speak again without losing her game. But I could tell she was terrified to break the silence because she didn't know what I'd say. I went through my regular routine. Gym, coffee, breakfast, work. The moving company texted me. Confirmed for next Friday, 8 a.m. pickup. I responded. Confirmed. Whitney saw the notification on my phone on the counter. That evening, she made her move. She cooked dinner for both of us. Set the table for 2. Made my favorite pasta dish. She was ending the silent treatment by acting like everything was normal. I came out of my office at 7. Hey, she said. Her first words in 7 days. I made dinner. I looked at the table, then at her. That was thoughtful. I thought we could eat together. It's been a weird week. It has. She sat down, expecting me to join her. So, want to talk about it? Sure. What would you like to talk about? I think we both needed space. Some time to think. But I'm ready to move forward. Move forward to what? To us. To normal. To fixing whatever made things tense. I stayed standing. I'm not sure we want the same things. Her face showed the first real flash of panic. What do you mean? You wanted me to not exist for a week. I respected that. And I realized something during that week. What? I don't want to be with someone who uses silence as punishment. Someone who needs to test if I'll chase. Someone who plays games instead of having conversations. I wasn't playing games. I was just. You literally announced you'd pretend I didn't exist to teach me a lesson. That's the definition of a game. Okay, fine. I handled it badly. But we can fix this. I'll communicate better. I'm sure you will. With someone else. She stared at me. What does that mean? I signed a lease today. 1 bedroom in Beacon Hill. I move out next Friday. The silence that followed was different from the past week. This was shock. You can't be serious. Over one argument? Over a pattern. This isn't the first time you've used emotional manipulation. It's just the first time I didn't play along. What pattern? Give me examples. I pulled out my phone and showed her my notes. Last month, you didn't speak to me for 2 days because I forgot your coworker's name. 3 months ago, you threatened to skip my sister's wedding because I didn't respond to a text within an hour. 6 months ago, cryptic Instagram stories when I chose poker night over your book club. You documented this? When someone shows you who they are repeatedly, it helps to have clarity. This is insane. Relationships have rough patches. They do. But rough patches involve talking, not tactical silence. Not tests to see if I'll beg for attention. I walked toward the guest room. I have work tomorrow. You should think about your living situation. The lease is in my name, so you'll need to make arrangements. You're just upset. You'll calm down, and we'll talk tomorrow. We are calm. And we did talk. The conversation is over. Friday morning. Day 8. Whitney tried to reset everything. She made coffee for both of us. Dressed nicely. Had a whole rational conversation prepared in her head. I accepted the coffee with a polite, thank you, and treated her like a roommate I was leaving on good terms. I'll be fully moved by the 16th, I said. Gives you 2 weeks to figure out your plans. Don't you think we should talk about this more? What's left to discuss? You wanted space. I'm giving you permanent space. I didn't mean permanent. Then you should be more specific with your ultimatums. Saturday, her friend Rachel came over. Whitney had clearly arranged this to look accidental. Rachel was supposed to convince me I was overreacting. Hey Connor, Whitney told me you're moving out. That's right. Don't you think you're being a bit extreme? Every couple fights. We didn't fight. She announced she'd pretend I didn't exist, and I realized I preferred that to the alternative. But she was just upset. You know how she gets. I do know how she gets. That's why I'm leaving. You're really going to throw away 4 years. I'm not throwing anything away. I'm choosing not to spend more years walking on eggshells around someone's emotional tests. Rachel left looking uncomfortable. I found out later she texted Whitney. I don't think he's bluffing. Sunday afternoon, I started packing. Not everything, just the things I knew I'd need first at the new place. Books, work files, some kitchen items I used daily. Whitney watched from the bedroom doorway as I carried a box to my car. When I came back for a second box, she was in the living room, arms crossed. She still didn't speak. Still maintaining some version of dignity, I guess. But her eyes were red. She'd been crying. I carried another box past her. Then another. On my fourth trip, I found her sitting on the couch, staring at her phone. But she wasn't looking at the screen. She was just holding it, like she wanted to text me, but couldn't figure out what to say. How do you text someone who's 3 feet away from you? How do you break a silence you insisted on when breaking it means admitting you were wrong? I didn't help her figure it out. I just kept packing. Sunday, Whitney posted to Instagram. Crazy how fast people give up on something real. Vague enough to get sympathy without explaining. I didn't view it. I continued packing. Multiple friends started texting Whitney asking what happened. She couldn't explain without admitting she'd initiated a silent treatment that backfired. So she gave vague answers that probably made me look worse. I told close friends privately. We wanted different things. It was mutual. I refused to elaborate. By Sunday evening, her Instagram had 3 more stories. Pictures of us from happier times. A quote about how some people quit when it gets hard. Another one about knowing your worth. Monday morning, I got a text from our mutual friend Kevin. Dude, what's going on? Whitney's social media is imploding. She decided to do a week of silent treatment. I decided to use that week productively. By breaking up with her? By realizing I don't want to be with someone who thinks silent treatment is an appropriate relationship tool. Fair enough. For what it's worth, I always thought you could do better. She's exhausting. That made me smile. People had noticed. They'd just been too polite to say anything. Monday, day 11. Whitney tried a new strategy. Love bombing. She made an elaborate breakfast and left a note. I miss you. I texted her a photo. Thank you. You should eat it though. I already ate. In the afternoon, she texted me links to couples therapy. I made some appointments for us. Will you go? I'm not interested in therapy for a relationship I've already left. That evening, when I came home from my jog, she was in lingerie. I'm going to shower in the guest bathroom. Have a good evening. Tuesday morning, day 10, I woke up to find the apartment smelling like French toast. Our first breakfast together, 2 years ago, she'd made French toast. She was trying to recreate that moment. She'd set the table with candles. Real candles, at 8 in the morning. 2 plates of French toast, perfectly made. Orange juice in wine glasses. It looked like a scene from a romantic movie. Apology breakfast. Grand gesture. I walked past the table, grabbed a protein bar from my stash in the guest room, and left for the gym. When I got back an hour later, she was sitting at the table. The candles had burned down. The French toast was cold. She'd been sitting there the whole time, waiting. She looked up at me with red eyes. You didn't even try it. I don't want French toast. I wanted a partner who knows how to communicate without games. French toast doesn't fix that. I went to my office and closed the door. Late that night, she knocked on the guest room door. Can we please just talk? Really talk? I opened the door, but didn't invite her in. Go ahead. I know I messed up. The silent treatment was stupid and immature. I was trying to get your attention because I felt like we were drifting. We were drifting. But the solution to drifting isn't manipulation. It's conversation. I know that now. I'm sorry. Really sorry. Can't we try again? Whitney, this isn't about one mistake. It's about a pattern I finally recognized. You don't want a partner. You want an audience. Someone to perform for, to chase you, to prove they care through constant attention. That's not fair, isn't it? When was the last time you asked about my day and actually listened to the answer? When was the last time you supported something I wanted without making it about you? She was silent. She couldn't think of an example. I've spent 4 years managing your emotions instead of sharing my life with a partner. The silent treatment just made me realize I don't miss the constant emotional management. I can change. Maybe. But I'm not going to wait around to see if you do. I deserve better than being someone's emotional support project who also gets treated like a misbehaving child when I don't read minds. Tuesday, day 12. The practical questions came. What about the apartment? The lease? Lease is in my name. I've contacted the landlord about ending it. You have until end of month to move out or sign a new lease yourself. How am I supposed to afford this place alone? That's not my problem to solve anymore. You have your job and 3 weeks to figure it out. You're really going to leave me homeless? You're not homeless. You have options. You just don't like them. Big difference. Thursday night, the evening before moving day, I finished packing my last boxes. Everything was labeled and ready. The movers would arrive at 8 a.m. I was taping up a box of books when Whitney appeared in the doorway of the guest room. Is there anything I can say that would change your mind? I looked up at her. No. Not even if I promised to change, to go to therapy, to work on my communication. Those are all things you should do. For yourself, for your next relationship. But not for this one. This one's over. How can you be so cold about this? For years, Connor. For years. I'm not cold. I'm just done. There's a difference. Cold would be enjoying this. I'm not. I'm just finally choosing myself. She wiped her eyes. I never thought you'd actually leave. I know. That was the problem. You thought you could treat me however you wanted, and I'd always stay. Always chase. Always prove myself. I'm tired of proving myself to someone who should already know what I'm worth. I do know what you're worth. No, you knew what I provided. Security, stability, someone to manage your emotions, someone to test when you felt insecure. That's not the same as knowing my worth. She stood there for another moment, then turned and went back to the bedroom. I heard her crying through the walls, but I didn't go to comfort her. That wasn't my job anymore. Friday morning, day 13, moving day. The movers arrived at 8. I met them outside, professional and efficient. I'd already told them what furniture was mine versus what stayed. Whitney stood in the bedroom doorway in pajamas. She looked like she hadn't slept. They took my bed frame, my desk and office chair, my bookshelf, my TV from the guest room, personal items, clothes, kitchen items I'd bought, my exercise equipment. The lead mover, a guy named Ray, was efficient and respectful. He could feel the tension in the apartment, but kept things professional. Anything else you need moved? He asked. That's everything. The rest stays with the apartment. Whitney was watching from the kitchen now. She'd moved from the bedroom to get a better view of what was leaving, what I was taking with me. Ray glanced at her, then back at me. You need a few minutes? No, we're good. Let's finish this. As they carried the last box down, I did one final check of the guest room. Empty. The closet where I'd moved my clothes. Empty. The bathroom where I'd kept my things. Empty. Every trace of me, removed. Can we at least have coffee together? One last time? Whitney asked. I don't think that's a good idea. Please. I just need closure. You had closure when you announced you'd pretend I didn't exist. This is just the follow-through. By 11, everything was loaded. I did a final walkthrough and left my keys on the bedroom dresser where Whitney was sitting. Keys are on the dresser. I've left instructions for the landlord about the lease termination. You have until the 30th to decide if you want to take over or move out. That's it. For years and you're just done? I'm done being treated like an emotional support prop who occasionally gets punished for not performing correctly. Yes. What if I really promise, to change? Then you'll be a better partner for someone else. You don't even love me anymore? I paused. I probably do on some level, but I love myself more. And I finally realized that loving someone who treats you like this means not loving yourself enough. I walked out. The movers drove away. Whitney was alone in the apartment with all the empty spaces where my life used to be. Saturday, day 14. The text messages started. The first one came at 9 in the morning. Can we please talk? I responded. There's nothing left to say. 2 hours later, another message. I miss you. By early afternoon, the tone shifted. This is crazy. You're being crazy. Then came the guilt trip. Everyone thinks you overreacted. Rachel said you're being stubborn. By evening, she was cycling through emotions. First acceptance. Fine. I guess I deserve this. Then desperation. I'm sorry. Really truly sorry. I was wrong about everything. I didn't respond to any of them after the first. That evening, I was in my new apartment in Beacon Hill, setting up furniture and organizing the kitchen, making the space my own. My brother stopped by with pizza. "How you holding up?" "Honestly, better than I have in years." "No regrets?" "None. I regret not doing it sooner." "She's been texting mutual friends, trying to get them to convince you to come back." "I figured. What are you telling them?" "That you seem happier now than you did with her." "Which is true." He was right. She wanted me to learn what it felt like when someone doesn't prioritize you. Mission accomplished. I'd learned I'd rather be alone than be with someone who sees love as a lesson plan. 3 weeks passed. I settled into my new place. Started conversations on dating apps. Had weekly dinners with my brother. My gym routine was solid. Work productivity was up. Life was peaceful. One evening, I was walking home from the gym when I passed a couple arguing on the sidewalk. The woman was yelling, and the man was just standing there, taking it, apologizing for something, promising to do better. I recognized the dynamic immediately. I'd been that guy. I wondered if he'd figure it out like I did, or if he'd spend years trying to manage someone else's emotions at the expense of his own peace. At my apartment, I made dinner, called my mom, and watched a show I'd wanted to see for months, but never could because Whitney hated it. Small things, but they added up to a life that felt like mine again. Whitney had to move back with a roommate into a smaller place. She couldn't afford the old apartment alone. Mutual friends had heard both sides by now. Her social media showed fake happiness. She'd made multiple attempts to accidentally run into me at places she thought I'd be. Then came Saturday evening. I was making dinner in my new apartment, listening to a podcast, completely content. Knock, 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 knock. Aggressive knocking. Continuous and desperate. I checked the peephole. "Whitney." More knocking. "Connor, I know you're in there. I saw your light on. Please, we need to talk." I opened the door, but stood in the doorway. "I didn't invite her in. How did you get this address?" "I asked your brother. He wouldn't give it to you." "Fine. I followed you from the gym last week. I just needed to see you." "That's concerning behavior. I miss you. I can't eat. I can't sleep. I made a mistake, and I'm begging you to give me another chance." I looked at her standing there, desperate, crying. Nothing like the confident woman who'd announced she'd pretend I didn't exist. "Do you remember what you said?" "I'm going to pretend you don't exist for a week. Maybe that'll teach you what it's like when someone doesn't prioritize you." I was stupid and, you were right though. It did teach me something. It taught me that I don't need someone who uses silence as a weapon. Someone who tests instead of trusts. Someone who plays games instead of being a partner. I'm not that person anymore. Maybe not, but I'm not interested in finding out. You wanted me to feel what it's like when someone doesn't prioritize you. Well, now you know what it's like when someone genuinely doesn't want you back. You can't mean that. I do. You wanted a week of pretending I didn't exist. I gave you permanent absence instead. That's not cruelty. That's just respecting your stated preference. That's not what I wanted. Then you should have said what you meant instead of playing games. Adults use words, not punishments. Please. I need you to leave. Don't come back here. Don't follow me. Don't show up unannounced. We're done. That's final. Connor, please. Goodbye, Whitney. I closed the door, locked it, returned to making dinner. Through the door, I could hear her crying. Then footsteps walking away. I sat down with my dinner, podcast playing, genuinely at peace. My phone buzzed with a text from Whitney. I glanced at it, deleted it without reading, and continued eating. She'd shown up at my door thinking desperation would change my mind. But desperation doesn't erase patterns. It just reveals what someone's willing to do when they've lost control. She never wanted me. She wanted the control. Some people need to lose you to realize your value. By then, you've realized theirs. And sometimes, that realization means walking away for good. She wanted to teach me a lesson about priorities. Mission accomplished. I learned mine. The knocking didn't come again. Dear listeners, that's our ending. If it resonated, subscribe to support the channel. See you next time.